Hello and a very warm welcome to this latest edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is a man who has been described as Germany's most unusual entrepreneur. And here he is in person, Claus Hipp. Yeah.
No.
Smiling away merrily at that, being called Germany's most unusual entrepreneur. Thank you for coming to the show today, coming to Talking Germany all the way from Bavaria. Great to have you here. Now, the reason why Claus Hipp is certainly unusual is that besides being a very successful entrepreneur, he is also an artist, a linguist, a musician and an equestrian. But the fact remains that he is best known here in Germany for the Hipp brand, that's H-I-P-P, the Hipp brand of organic baby foods that is the most successful product of its kind on the German market. Claus Hipp, I told my daughter, who is 19 years old, that you were coming on the show today. Can you guess what she said in response?
Maybe that she is still using our products.
I can't believe it.
Yes, 25% of grown-ups use baby food. Young girls, of course, also elderly people, and sportmen.
Sports people?
Yes.
They eat a lot of Hipp baby foods?
Yes, extreme sports people.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's true what you said. My daughter said, yes, I have lots of friends who still eat Hipp products. And the interesting thing is, I mean, she's a girl, and a lot of her friends are girls, and they're very careful with their diet. So they're looking for organic products that have been produced organically. You're talking about adults eating your baby foods, yeah? I'm told that you always have a little jar or two somewhere in your car in case of an emergency.
Of course, I always have some products, especially in the evening, night. When I get tired, then it makes me fit again.
What's your favourite flavour?
Apricot.
Apricot? Good choice. OK. You are an entrepreneur and you are also a musician. We'll talk about the musician thing a little bit later. But you have said that your relationship with your company is like the relationship between a conductor and an orchestra. Tell me more.
Yes, it's better to have an average conductor than two very excellent conductors who always discuss how to do the thing. But the conductor has to have an idea.
Yeah.
He has to listen to the musician. He has to listen if anyone plays not correct. And he has to say, we start, and when it's finished. So in the business, it's the same. At least one person has to say what's going on. And if the conductor is not good enough, it has to be changed.
Are you an average conductor or a very good conductor? I wasn't quite sure what you're saying. You're an average conductor here. You're being very modest.
I'm average.
I don't know. You've been very successful. Tell me, what is your business ethos?
My business?
Your business ethos, your business philosophy.
Our philosophy is to have best quality.
Yeah.
To do no harm to the nature. Environment.
Yeah.
Do the best for our consumers, which are the babies, mainly. And we produce to a price everybody can afford.
Would you say that if that's your business philosophy, is it a typically German philosophy?
I think quality is maybe typical German philosophy, but every parents want to have best quality for the babies.
Yeah.
Insofar, it's good that we are a family-owned business who is run by the family. If we would have managers, they could be changed.
Yeah.
But family will stay.
I see. So there's a difference for you in your business philosophy between managers and family members.
I think consumers trust more family who is responsible for the business.
Would you call, when people are talking about German business and the German business model, they're very often talking about what is called the Mittelstand. Your company's quite big. Do you view yourself as part of the German Mittelstand?
Yes, we are still Mittelstand. We are not big ones.
And just explain what that means, the Mittelstand, because it has been such a model for success here in Germany and still is.
Mittelstand means that the owner is working operative working, daily working, and responsible. Mittelstand, actually go back in the history of these companies. There was a person who started maybe in one room.
Yeah.
Then the factory was built around the house. Next generation, they built a nice villa next to the factory. Next generation, the owners went to town and left the factory alone.
Yeah.
But Mittelstand has to look that the owners are always in close contact to the company.
So in a lot of ways, Mittelstand means pretty much the same as family-owned and family-run company.
I think so, yes.
So you're a linguist, you're an equestrian, a musician, an artist and an entrepreneur. And suddenly in this report, we discover that you were a stuntman. Yeah?
Yes, it was a very good time during my time at the university.
Yeah.
I did not have much pocket money, but as stuntman, I earned money, and it was a nice job for me.
Did you get injured?
No, not.
You were a good stuntman. You were good at what you were doing.
I was a lucky stuntman.
Let's go back to the beginning of the Hipp family, of the Hipp family company, because you were talking about how it is a family company and the idea to manufacture baby foods. That's a good story. Just tell us again where that came from.
Actually, my grandfather started 1899.
Yeah.
Grandfather had 8 children.
Eight children.
Second were twins. And breastfeeding was a problem for grandmother.
Yeah.
Then he was baking some kind of cake. We call it Zwieback in Germany.
We use the same word in English. Zwieback means baked twice, so it makes it a really crispy kind of toast.
Yes, and this was milled and mixed with water and milk, and was excellent baby food. And my father started also this as a handcraftman.
Yeah.
And in 1932, he started as an industry.
That's interesting that you mention your father, because his role in your life was very, very important, I think. You had a very close relationship with your father. You said that his education, the way he educated you, was the education of a wise man. That's a wonderful thing to say about your father.
It was education of a wise man. It was very strong education. Very often I did not agree, but I think it was necessary for me.
What do you mean when you say? I mean, when you say strong, I think you mean sort of strict, yeah?
Strict, yes, and not so much freedom as I wanted to have. But he had the same problem. He told me he also wanted to have more freedom. His father was also strict.
It doesn't sound like much fun to me. I mean, I have a quote from you. I was brought up, you say, to be aware of my responsibility. That's a heavy word, responsibility, from an early age, yeah?
Yes, that began really when we were children. Father said, you are responsible for the people, for the babies.
Yeah.
And the families, of course, is also important, but first of all, you have to look for things you are doing.
But you wanted to be a painter. Your father was sceptical.
He was skeptical. My father was a good painter too. He earned his first money with pictures.
Oh, really?
And from this money, he bought his first long trousers.
Yeah.
And he said to me, you never know whether you are good enough. But to be average, it's not so fun. But here you have a good business and do the art beside the business. I think it was a good decision. For me, it's better to have limited time for painting and a lot of ideas than to have many time and no ideas.
You're a person who needs a lot of discipline in your life, I am beginning to understand, I think. You need structure.
Yes, I need it. For my nature, I'm lazy.
You're lazy. But what time do you get up each morning, each and every day?
4:30.
4:30, says Mr. Hipp, the lazy man, yeah? You Another quote, something else that you have said about yourself, about your style as an entrepreneur or your philosophy as an entrepreneur. You have said, I believe that an entrepreneur who has faith, who believes in God, who has religion, effectively, has an advantage over an entrepreneur who is an atheist.
I think so, yes. You can have situations where an atheist can do the same as a person with faith. Mm-hmm. But you have situations where people with faith can do more. They can pray, they have the hope that it will be good. Mm-hmm. And atheists cannot do it. So actually, from the business view, the faith is a stronger situation.
Okay, so what you're talking about there really, I suppose, is business ethics. And your company actually has an ethics charter in which it says that one of the cornerstones of your business is the pursuit of short-term success is no good. What you're interested in is the long-term interest of your business. So long-term view perspective against short-termism.
But long-term in a correct and good way. Mm-hmm. And no business in short term which is not correct. Mm.
Do we live in a world where there's too much short-termism?
There was too much, and I think now we understand that we have to think in long term, but in correct way.
So you think the tide is beginning to change?
Yes, especially young people are interested in changing it. Mm. They understand we cannot go in the way we went in the past.
Okay, you're talking about morals and ethics. I'd like to ask you, how important is money to you?
Money is nice to have, but...
it is nice to have,
at the end of my life, I think I have to be responsible what I did with the money, not how much I saved.
Mm. So we come back to that word, responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah. I still can't quite decide whether, for Mr. Hipp, whether responsibility is liberating or whether responsibility is a burden.
Both.
Both.
Both. Mm. But the burden is a burden I'm used to wear.
After all these years?
Yes.
Of carrying that burden. I think the most important word in that report was diversity.
Diversity is very important, especially in agriculture. Mm-hmm. We have to look that we have, again, diversity in plants, in animals. Mm-hmm. For very often, especially in animals, we have high-breeded animals which have a lot of costs for the vet, which do not live as long as the animals used to live, and which are more expensive than it was in the past. Mm.
And what's the role of your company in that? What's the role, for example, of your company in relation to organic farms like the one we saw in the report?
We will teach the farmers how they can do it.
You teach the farmers how they can do it?
Yes, we have specialists who go to the farmers.
Oh, really? Uh-huh.
But, of course, we cannot do farming as we did it 200 years ago or 100 years ago. Mm. My grandmother, for instance, she used to feed 50 chickens from baby to 100 days.
Yeah.
She spent 1 hour with the chickens every day. If I calculate today and give her for this hour 10 euro wages, then after 100 days, one chicken has 20 euro wages, 10 euro feed. So for 30 euro, nobody will buy a chicken.
Yeah.
Times have changed. We have to find new ways, but they have to be full of respect from nature. Mm.
But you have 6,000 different suppliers, yeah? How many, where do they come from then? Where are they based? Are they Bavarian? Are they local? Are they national?
They are all over the world. For instance,
all over the world?
We do bananas in Costa Rica with farmers who live in the jungle. Mm. And we visit our farmers. They are with GPS, we know where they are.
Yeah.
And for our farmers, it's a good thing to plant organic bananas, for instance. Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about you're saying our farmers, you're talking about them as though you're in some sort of cooperative relationship with them. But surely they're not just your farmers, they're your suppliers. And you have to buy the goods from them at a certain price, and you need that price to be as low as possible because you are in a tough market.
Yes, but if we make too much pressure, we do not get the quality we need. And we have contracts with the farmers. The contract is good for the farmer. He knows the price he gets, and we know we have suppliers we can trust.
And is the market in Germany big enough for all these organic farmers? Because it sounds like just for you, 6,000 organic farmers, some of them outside Germany, that's a lot of farms, a lot of farmers.
The number of organic farmers will grow, I think, in the future. We will get some problems now with EU regulations, especially for small farms with cattle. But if we cannot do it in one country, we do it in another country.
You are viewed, it's interesting we're talking about these organic farmers, because you were one of the first people, or you were certainly a pioneer in Germany for organic farming, and that began at a very early age when you were, I don't know what, a teenager, yeah?
No.
Where did that come from, that idea?
The idea came actually from Switzerland. My mother was Swiss, and in Switzerland we made Bircher muesli, and therefore we used wheat and apples from organic farms.
Okay.
And Dr. Hans Müller, he was actually the pioneer of organic farming. He was my mentor and teacher. And even when I went to school, he said, you have to make baby food with organic products.
Yeah.
And then we changed our farm to organic. And
that was your big idea in life, really. You said, we're going to produce organic, fully organic, more or less, baby foods. And that was your big idea. Yeah.
In those days, my parents were still alive, so that was also their idea. But I did it all my life.
Yeah, and it's interesting that here in Germany, people think of Germany as a green country in many ways, and that's linked in part to the Green Party and the history of the Green Party. And a lot of the organic movement in Germany came from southern Germany, from where you are, from Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. And a lot of those people were, I don't know, partly green, partly conservative. And when I look at you, I'm wondering, does that describe you? Are you sort of half conservative, half green?
I think a lot of the green people we brought up already with organic baby food. Maybe that's the reason why they went so enthusiastic. But I think to organic farming, you must not join a party. You must not be political. You do it for the nature. You do it for the people.
Let's come from the other direction. You're talking about the prices and this fair balance that you have with the organic producers. What about, I mean, Germany's well known for companies like, you know, Aldi and Lidl, who are spreading out across Europe for sure. And they are going for rock bottom prices. They're putting their suppliers under massive, massive pressure. What do you say to that? Because, I mean, they're giving people what people want. What people want, most people, is cheap food products.
That's especially in Germany. It's not so in France, it's not so in other countries. But for the children, people want quality. And I think that's a market where the price is important, but not so important than it is in other markets.
So your products are a little bit, they're like a third more expensive, I would say, on average than most of your competitors.
More expensive, yes, but we are a leader.
People are willing to pay the extra price. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Something different. Have you ever heard of a man called Adolf Franz Friedrich Ludwig Knigge? Well, probably not, I guess. He was a member of Germany's minor nobility in the second half of the 18th century, and he is still remembered because in 1788, to be precise, he published an influential book on etiquette called On Human Relations. Let's find out now how Knigge's example is being followed today in the company of the wonderfully named Knigge Society for Modern Manners.
This is an etiquette seminar taking place in a luxury hotel in Düsseldorf. The 17 participants want to learn everything there is to know about good manners. Practice starts with fake bread and plastic lobsters.
What I really never thought about before was that I'm not just learning manners, but also how to give instead of taking and expecting things.
Barbara Rumpf, who runs the seminar, says etiquette means above all abiding by one golden rule.
It's about mutual respect. Proper etiquette makes life more pleasant.
When Baron Adolf Knigge wrote his book On Human Relations in 1788, he never could have imagined his name would become shorthand for showing respect and good manners in Germany, especially because the book's 450 pages contain no hard and fast rules on etiquette. Literary scholar Karl-Heinz Goethert has studied Knigge's work. He says it's more of a sociological treatise infused with the spirit of the Enlightenment.
At some point, it snowballed in a way that Knigge did not live to see and didn't expect. Because in a way, he wrote the first advice book, and then came all the others branding themselves as Knigge.
In Germany, Knigge has long been synonymous with etiquette books. Nearly every bookshop here has works on manners that use his name. If you've mastered Knigge, you're ready for any occasion. And that has little to do with the historical Knigge.
To be perfectly frank, these people haven't the slightest idea about Knigge. They should look at his works. He wrote 8 novels and essays about Kant and literature. He produced every form of written works of his day. We have an edition of his collected works in many volumes, and nobody knows of it. Worse, nobody's read it.
Courses based loosely on Knigge are still in great demand in Germany, even 226 years after his book was first published. And one thing remains: good manners must be learned.
Is that true? Good manners must be learned, or are good manners in the blood?
You have to want to have good manners.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit you can learn,
yeah,
but I think you have to have it in the heart.
In your heart?
Yes.
OK, so it's not in the blood and it's not out there, it's in the heart down here, yeah. We're talking about Mr. Knigge and his books from all those years ago, yeah, 1788, when his famous book came out. Do you have one of the Knigge originals at home?
No.
No?
No.
OK, but nevertheless, you were inspired to write your book, yeah, called Achtung, Anstand. Yeah, I tried, and I talked to my English colleagues about how we were going to translate the title, and it wasn't very clear. It's sort of beware, yeah, because of Anstand. What is Anstand? It's a very, 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 very German word.
Yes, to translate it, maybe...
What is it? Describe it.
To live in a way that you treat other people in the way you want to be treated from them.
OK, yeah, that's a very Christian interpretation.
Or Kant.
Yeah, or Kant, Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher. Yeah, OK. Are the Germans, if we're saying that this has got, you know, somehow related to Immanuel Kant and we're talking about how people behave good manners, are the Germans a good and well-mannered lot?
I think in every country you find good and bad.
Oh, that's not good enough. You wrote a book about Anstand. You wrote a book about good manners because you're not happy about how people are.
Yes, I think things change. And some years ago, we did not have the big black four-wheel driven cars who think the road is only for them.
OK, yeah. So you are not a fan of SUVs, yeah? And
they might be necessary in the country,
yeah,
but not in the town.
OK. Yeah.
But what I want to say is that some people behave in the car in a way which is not correct, but they feel safe to have the car around. And
what does that tell us about German society?
Maybe some people feel stronger as long as they have a strong car.
Well, OK, let's get away from the cars. You said that you are unhappy about greed. egoism and a dog-eat-dog mentality. Yeah. Can you describe that? I need you to describe that for me. What are you so angry about? What are you so unhappy about? Are we talking about business here? Are we talking about sort of people on the streets?
I think we have some people who live like Knigge.
Yeah.
And they think if we do everything as it is written in the book, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have other people who have no idea about all this, but they do it correct, for they want to help other people. They want to feel in the way other people feel.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to say is live more as you feel it, that it's good for the other people.
Mm.
And as long as we do this, we do not make mistakes.
Yeah.
Not big mistakes.
Yeah, not big mistakes. I mean, you know, we were I mentioned sort of greed and a dog-eat-dog mentality. Especially, a lot of people have talked about that in the recent times around the financial situation, the way companies are run in Germany and elsewhere. And I mean, you know, one reads in the German press that the CEO of the German company Volkswagen, yeah, earns 400 times as much as an average employee. That cannot be good.
That's a big difference, yes. And I think the so-called Aufsichtsrat,
the supervisory boards,
they are responsible for the salaries. And there are a lot of good people in Germany who could do the job. We have to have more competition in these positions.
When I first began to come to Germany and got to know German society, it was very much an egalitarian society. People were trying to be sort of more or less on the same level with each other. And now people say Germany is becoming much more of a class society. Would you agree with that?
A little bit, yes, but in other countries, for instance, Russia, it's much, much bigger, the difference.
Yeah.
We have the soziale Marktwirtschaft.
The social market economy. I was wondering when you were going to mention that.
Yes. And I think that's a good system. We have competition.
Yeah.
We have the social component.
Yeah.
That the strong has to help the weak.
Yeah.
But we have also to protect the strong, that they do not have all the job.
Interesting insights there. I think you're talking about a society where the word solidarity still has a meaning, yeah? But it's changing fast. When most people think of Bavaria and they think of opera festival, they think, of course, of Bayreuth. They think of the Wagner festival. I think it's fair to say, yeah? Your festival is very, very different. Tell me why. Tell me about the spirit of the festival.
First of all, it's on the country.
Yeah.
And people like to be on the country. And we have a lot of people who cannot go to Bayreuth. Too expensive and too exclusive. And
Yeah,
you do not
it's
get
difficult
tickets.
to get tickets, even if you have the money.
It's very difficult. And Imling has a very good catering. People sit
That sounds good, yeah.
sit after the
food.
opera with the singers, with the musicians for hours. The singers sing after the opera,
Yeah.
and it's a very close contact.
16,000 people come and enjoy the good food and the good contact with the musicians each year. Who are they? Are they from nearby Munich, or are they real locals, or are they from across Germany?
There are locals, but there are also some from everywhere
Yeah.
who use the time to make holidays, for it's a nice area near the mountains.
And if I come to your festival next year, where am I going to stay? Is there lots of sort of local accommodation?
There are very nice hotels there.
Yeah?
Yes.
In the little town itself? Yeah.
There are a lot of places.
Oh, wonderful.
Lake Chiemsee is 5 minutes from there, and enough hotels.
I just want to ask you, the man behind it all is Ludwig Baumann. He was quite a well-known singer, is quite a well-known singer. Just tell us a little bit about him, because he's an interesting character.
He was a singer, and he come from this area.
Yeah.
He had an accident, so he has to finish his career. And then he started there.
So he decided if he can't go out and do opera, he's going to have his own opera festival in his back garden, more or less. Yeah, wonderful. And your role, you're a sponsor, yeah, but you also get really involved artistically.
I do scenery with my students. Every year one opera, and for my students it's very useful to be active, to see how it really goes, that they do not have only little maquettes and models, they can do it themselves.
Wonderful. And when we talk about, I mean, that's you as, I mean, involved in music, which is what you are. You also play in an orchestra, but you're also you as the artist. You are a professor for art at Tbilisi Art College or University?
That's State Art Academy.
The State Art Academy. How did that come about? It's an unusual step for a Bavarian entrepreneur.
It started in the orchestra in Munich. I'm playing second oboe. The first oboist is Georgian. And he asked me to help for disabled children in his country with food. And then they organized the exhibition for my pictures. Yeah. And then the rector of the academy asked me to teach, for they had 80 years only socialism, realism, and
social realism. Yeah.
They wanted to get some new ideas, and then I did this. Later on, university asked me, so I did both.
Okay, and you speak Russian. I've mentioned that you're a linguist. You speak very good Russian, and I know that you are now in the process of learning Georgian properly, working very hard at it. You've got your notebook with us, yeah?
Yeah, since years I'm learning Georgian, and I write things I have to learn always in my notebook.
Let me have a look here, yeah. Wonderful. Ah, what a diligent man he is. Mr. Hipp was telling me, Claus Hipp was telling me before the show that the Georgian script originated from the plant of the vine, yeah, because it has the same shape. There was Georgia was one of the first countries in the world ever to have vineyards. Absolutely wonderful. The amazing thing is that you were born in 1938, yeah, and now in 2014 you're learning a foreign language. You're learning Georgian. Yeah. What does that tell us about you?
It's very difficult, and I think I'm not so good in languages, but it's a hard job for me. Yes.
Oh. He's told us he's not a very good entrepreneur, an average conductor and all this kind of thing today. It's all not true. He's been a fantastic guest. Claus Hipp, I would say, he's a man of conviction and passion. If you've enjoyed his company as much as I have, come back next week. Until then, bye-bye and cheers.